they were completely blown away because it was the first time they've ever gone out and tested a group of people, and the tests came in 100% negative.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from across the entire spectrum of non-monogamy to hear their funny, sexy, and fascinating stories as they take us on their journey. We always strive to bring guests on the show who have a healthy and positive approach to non-monogamy.
However, everyone approaches it a little differently. And at its core, our show is about hearing, highlighting, and learning from the different experiences and approaches people have. With that in mind, it is important to remember that the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect those of our own.
So sit back, relax, and just accept the fact that your time with us will be spent in an awkward turmoil of laughter and arousal. We should also let you know that this podcast will hopefully include some explicit language.
If that kind of thing offends you, we suggest you keep listening until it no longer does. If you're under 18, you either need to stop listening or go get your parents and you can listen as a family. The choice is yours. Enjoy!
Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Normalizing Non-Monogamy. I'm Emma and I'm here with my husband Finn. Today we have a really exciting interview for you guys with the founders of the website Kasidie, Scott and Nicoleta. But before we get into that, we have a couple of quick things we wanted to mention.
The first is we wanted to say thanks to all the people who've been reaching out via email. It's really awesome to hear from everybody. And one of the things we've heard from some of the people who reached out is that our show is very heavily focused on couples or couple dynamics. That's really just because, again, we don't know a ton of single people or swingles or whatever you would like to call yourselves in the lifestyle.
Or triads.
Or triads, yeah, whoever it is. So we're happy to hear from anybody, so don't be afraid to reach out. On that same note, we had somebody reach out a few weeks back who we tried to respond to them and our message got kicked back. So if you're the one person out there who's reached out to us and hasn't heard back, we're not jerks. We just couldn't respond to you. So, in that same vein, we try to respond to everybody within a day or so, and we've been pretty good about that, and we'll try to be pretty good about that. But we will be traveling the next couple of weeks, and our internet will be unpredictable, to say the least. So, we'll do our best. You won't see any interruptions in the show release, but we just might not be as fast on the reply button.
Yeah, just be a little patient with us. Also, we wanted to thank everyone for leaving us reviews. We've loved getting those, and it's a great way to support the podcast as well as provide any feedback you have for us. You can leave them on iTunes or any of the other platforms. Again, you can also find us on our website at normalizingnonmonogamy.com or on Twitter under NNM, as in Normalizing Non-Monogamy Podcast.
So we're going to jump into the interview here with Scott and Nicoleta. Real quick before we do that, again, if you head over to our website that Emma just told you about and either go to the show notes for this page or the resources page, you'll see links for Kasidie and a few other resources. But specifically for Kasidie, if you sign up through those links, you'll get a free 30-day elite membership trial. And if you leave us a review, you get a 90-day trial. So please check that out. And we also wanted to thank Scott and Nicoleta for coming on the show today. They're really cool people. They're really down to earth. The episode is definitely not a promotion for Kasidie anyway. They basically spend the whole time talking about their origin story as a couple and their journey through swinging. So it's a really fascinating look into their lives. So again, thank you to them for coming on, and we'll see you guys on the other side. I guess, do you guys mind telling us, just for anybody who's not familiar with Kasidie or who you guys are, just a brief introduction of yourselves and what, I guess, sort of how you guys approach non-monogamy or swinging within your relationship?
Sure. We started Kasidie a little over 10 years ago, and for us, we saw it as a need for a lifestyle website that's actually created by and run by swingers. Many of the other leading websites are actually just run by vanillas who are trying to make a buck, and not by people who are actually in the community and part of the lifestyle themselves.
Right.
And we think that's reflected in a lot of what other, profile settings and things like that. So we really looked at it as people who are in the community and as people who, we were hosting a lot of parties at the time as well, but supporting other club owners and event hosts, and what we could do that create a site that really meets everybody's needs, and did the same for the, from just the user perspective. And that's why we have the variety of he enjoys, she enjoys, because not everybody's sexuality is the same. It's not just we're a full swap couple. What does that mean? Seriously, what does that mean? That's an absolutely meaningless term, because what if it's a hot wife situation, or what if she plays and he doesn't, or what if he plays and she doesn't, or what if he likes bondage and she doesn't, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
You can mix and match. She likes anal, he doesn't, whatever. You need to be able to describe that kind of stuff so you can meet people who are looking for the same types of things. And in searching for a name, we were offered swinger.com as a name. And it was a tough decision, because from a marketing perspective, it would be fantastic, but it would draw the wrong kind of people to the site, we felt. And so we were sitting around in a jacuzzi with a bunch of friends and came up with the name Kasidie. Like, let's name it after a hot girl. Let's make it, because it's girls that lead the lifestyle, not guys. So let's make it non-threatening. Let's make it feminine. And we said, Kasidie sounds good, but let's spell it differently. And why not? And so we declined the swinger.com person who was offering us the name and went with Kasidie, and never looked back. So now we have a site that is one of the largest in the world, and after 10 years of a lot of work. And it's the kind of thing that unless you know about it, if you don't know about it, you probably shouldn't. And if you do know about it, then you probably belong.
Right.
So we're very, very proud of what we built with that.
And presumably you guys, it sounds like you were in the swinging lifestyle before you started Kasidie. I'm assuming that wasn't your first first day on the job, was your first day as swingers. How did you guys get into it originally together?
Before we met, I was in LA, and a couple of girls that I was dating introduced me to the lifestyle. They said, I'm what's known as a unicorn. I go to these parties, and I'd really like to have a guy go with me. I'd like to have a date to some of these things. And they brought it up to me within a couple of weeks apart. I'm like, yeah, sounds good to me. Let's check it out. And we had a blast. And so that introduced me to the lifestyle. And jump forward a couple of years, and Nicoleta and I were just starting to date. And I said, how do you feel about this and giving this a try? And, she comes from Europe, so has less, not quite as repressed as most Americans. Yeah, less inhibitions. And so she agreed to try it. And the first experience we had, I chose the wrong club, because from my time in Newport Beach, we were in Colorado then, and my time in LA I only knew a couple of clubs that the girls would take me to, so I thought all clubs were like that. And we went to a club, and it wasn't very good. And she said, "Hey, if this is what it is, you're an idiot. We're not doing this." I'm like, no. It's normally really cool people and really, really fun and great conversation. And so I did a little more research and found another club in Denver called Scarlet Ranch.
Yeah.
And so we went. We tried again, and we went there, and she had a great time. Met some really cool people and had a lot of fun. And that's like, oh, okay, this is what it's like. This is good.
Was it something that, Nicoleta, that you had ever explored before that first time you went to the club with Scott?
No, I was a 100% newbie. I was a lifestyle literally wasn't even aware that there is a lifestyle around. So it was adventure. It was fun. Everybody was very nice. So I didn't have any misconceptions or any stories anybody ever told me. So it was just, like, oh, what's such a big deal?
Right. Very cool. And was there any, I guess, in that initial onset discussions about it, concerns of like jealousy, or why, if we just started dating, would he already want to be exploring other people, or was it just sort of more of a fun thing to do, I guess, at that point?
Well, it was actually to help me discover myself and start. One time we're sitting out at dinner, and he was like I was checking out girls walking by, and he was like, I have to tell you something about yourself that you don't know. I'm like, what? You're bi. I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, oh yeah, you are. He's like, just, look at the past hour, what you've been doing, checking out all the girls. I was like, oh, you're right. Going to those clubs, it felt very natural.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So it was sort of a eye-opening experience for you guys, or at least for you.
Oh, definitely. And, from there we just started experimenting, and when, we always kind of not push the limits, but, we'll try more, and if it didn't work, we would just, come back to the point where we're both comfortable. And of course, discussions arise, about jealousy and stuff, but it was in such a comfortable environment, and because we're discussing about everything and we're talking about our feelings, and there was never pressure to do anything either of us wanted to do. Was very, just the natural process.
Right.
And still is things evolve and change, and we change, but it's still about great communication. Still trying to do what feels good, because at the end of the day, we always want to ask ourselves why we're doing this, to improve our relationship, to improve our lives, to make us happier. And if certain things don't achieve that, then we revisit, and it's very dynamic, and it constantly evolves and changes.
Right. That's I think that's true for everybody. And something that Emma and I were talking about before we got on here was that maybe there's sometimes the misconception that since you guys are sort of swinger celebrities, that you guys are pros at everything, and you've been pros since day one. But I would assume you guys probably worked through some of the same progressions as anybody else, in terms of maybe it was soft swap and then full swap, and then it didn't go well and you had to back up and reapproach it again.
That's exactly how it went. It took me about 2 years to even be comfortable with swapping it. First it was, for 2 years I was just girl on girl action. But then when I finally discovered the full swap, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe for 2 years I haven't done anything. So it was, it was one of those revelations that, wow, this is good. But then, it also depends on meeting the right people and just having fun and letting loose. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just sex. It's,
right.
I know at the end of the day I'm going home with Scott, and that's, this is just having fun. Right.
Has the fact that you guys are sort of swinger celebrities made it not necessarily harder to meet people, but maybe harder to make a genuine connection, or maybe your guard is up a little more around the people you meet?
Well, it has its benefits.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
Sure.
It goes both ways. So sometimes it's harder not to meet people, but it's harder to get away with the people you met and you have a connection because everybody else wants to meet and talk. But yeah, we've made amazing friendships in this lifestyle, and we've had incredible adventures, and we wouldn't change it for anything.
When you guys, decided to start Kasidie, I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, like maybe your family and friends didn't necessarily know before then, and I guess I'm also assuming that they do now. Has there been a change? I guess, how did people react when they found out?
Well, we're pretty public.
Yeah.
Well, right. Now, I guess maybe
Playboy and CBS and NBC and
yeah, but I meant back at the beginning, I guess.
Yeah.
In the beginning, before we had our first media come out, I talked about it with my family, specifically my brother and my parents, and I was actually really surprised. My brother didn't really care, which was what I expected. But yeah, whatever.
Right.
My what was unexpected was my mom, who is extremely religious. I mean, she is super fundamental Christian, and so I expected it to be a problem with her. And she was like, "Oh, whatever." Like shocked. And my dad, who's atheist, he had a huge problem and didn't talk to me for 5 years.
Wow.
So, yeah, we had some downside. You never know what to expect.
Yeah. And so you guys kind of went through the coming out process to family and friends before you launched Kasidie because you knew it was going to probably propel you into
we had launched it, but it was when we knew we were getting our first media, which was a newspaper article written about us, which was positive. It was sex positive.
Okay.
But it was going to be published in the paper, so we felt we had to come out before that. And since then we've done a lot of television. We've done movies. I mean, we've done all kinds of stuff.
Right.
So it's like, cat's out of the bag. Let's be ambassadors for the lifestyle. Let's promote it.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there any issues on your side, Nicoleta, when that information came out?
Not much, because Europeans have a different view on sexuality. It was kind of like, oh, okay, well, it's your life. You just make sure you don't do something you might regret later. But that's pretty much the level of the conversation. And plus, sex is, I wouldn't say taboo, but people don't really bring up parent-children relationships are not necessarily very explicit. They're like, well, you're a grown-up person, we cannot make decisions. It's your life. You do whatever you see fit. So
yeah,
that was pretty much the length of the discussion. I think it lasted probably like 5-10 minutes, and it was like nothing big deal. It was like, oh, okay, well, you're an adult, this is life.
I mean, that must be nice. It probably made it feel a little less taboo. Because I think there's a lot of people who are really afraid that anyone's going to find out about who they are and what they do, and the stigma that's wrapped around it.
Right, but there is a freedom that comes from it, because really, if your friends find out and then decide that they do not want to be your friends, then you really haven't lost anything.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, with us was the opposite. The people, by being open, people were attracted, and then they would start opening up and discussing all their taboo subjects, and pretty much just you'd see their faces. They would be freed up by all these secrets that they were holding up, and it felt very comfortable to them to have somebody to talk to.
Sure.
Right.
It is funny when we're in situations talking to vanillas and it comes out, because we don't hold back. We're out at a vanilla club or a restaurant or whatever, or even for me, some of the other business activities I'm in, be at a conference, and it comes up and I don't hold back. And it's like, as soon as it comes out, people are always intrigued. Always like, oh, what is that? How does that work? And then suddenly you're safe and they can tell you all of their secrets.
Yeah.
They're dying to tell someone anyhow. It's like, even if I really don't want to hear all of your secrets. Don't care. Glad you have fun, but
Yeah, it's almost like you telling them this little thing or this one piece of information about you. Their response tells you like everything you need to know about them.
Yep.
Right,
Yep,
and
exactly.
sometimes it's a little bit too much. We're like, okay, but
I'm trying to eat my steak here.
Right, but it's pretty much taking down all the walls and communication, and it's like you cut through the bullshit, and then you get to the real person, and to what's important in life, and the depth, and all the real stuff. So
Right.
it's kind of like the same when really our best friends are from the lifestyle now, because once you've seen somebody naked, it's kind of hard to lie to each other.
Right.
So
Right.
it's plus sex is not taboo, and really everybody then is just more comfortable and friendly and fun, and they just want to let loose.
Yeah.
Being that you guys have been out and quite public for such a long time, have you seen a shift in the way that people respond and react over that time frame? So maybe like earlier on, were they a little more reserved, and in the last couple of years, have you seen maybe people being more open-minded to it?
Well, I think that in a Tinder era and in an Ashley Madison era, sex is becoming less taboo,
Right.
and people are opening up anyhow. I think it's just the shift our entire culture is going through, which is to be more open, more okay with personal liberties and things like that. So, yeah, we've seen a shift, and hopefully in some small way we've been part of it. But society as a whole is definitely moving in that direction.
Right.
I'm assuming you have seen some backlash, though, over the years, outside of your dad, but just people not being happy with the decisions that you're making.
Not really.
Okay.
No, I mean, we're open, and we embrace everybody. I mean, we have on Kasidie, we have all kinds of groups and all kinds of people, and it's all open. And whenever it's come out in our vanilla side, it's just that we haven't had much negative. It's been almost all positive, always.
That's really good. I'm surprised to hear that. So that's really positive
I know
to hear.
That's not true for everybody. I mean, there are people who are in occupations where they have moral turpitude clauses, or they have other things. I mean, we've met people who are priests and school teachers and politicians and celebrities and all kinds of royalty, all kinds of people that, it would harm them if it got out.
Sure,
and
absolutely.
So everybody's different. For us, we chose to come out, and we chose this as our lifestyle and our business, and we're very comfortable with it. We love it. But that's not true for everybody. I wouldn't recommend coming out to a lot of types of people.
Right. Scott and Nicoleta said it was fine, so go ahead and tell everybody.
Yeah. Don't
probably
make
not.
your own decision.
Yeah.
Know your circumstances.
Absolutely. I guess maybe on a more personal level, as you guys were coming up through your journey together, were there any major hurdles that you guys had to overcome between the two of you? Not necessarily around the coming out process, but just in general, things that you guys found challenging that maybe other people could relate to.
Well, I'll talk about the very first experience, the positive experience we had at Scarlet Ranch. We were there, and I started playing with this single girl, this unicorn there, and the room was, full of people. I don't care if people watch me. And Nicoleta was watching, and she was sitting there with conflicting internal dialogue, because she's saying that she's sitting there thinking she should feel jealous and she should feel angry watching me play with another girl. And on the other hand, she was getting turned on and she was getting excited. And so she couldn't reconcile those feelings of what she should be feeling versus what she was feeling. And she fortunately stepped forward and said, "Hey, we got to talk. I can't figure this out." And I think she's a little surprised that I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I jump off the bed. A lot of people will be happy to service this young lady. Right. So she and I went out in the jacuzzi and talked through it. And by the end of the night, she was the centerpiece of an orgy. But she had to work through that dialogue herself. And I think a lot of people go through that. Like, gee, I should be jealous, but I'm not. Well, how come I'm not? Something must be wrong with me. And we certainly went through that as well.
Yeah. Well, and I would say it takes a lot of guts what she did to be willing to speak up in an environment where she's never been there. And it's always hard to be the one who's interrupting somebody else having fun because of something that's going on with you. I think that's something that all of us have been in that situation at one time or another. And it's not an easy thing to do, but I think it's an important thing to be able to do.
Yeah, it's part of keeping communication open.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you guys, I guess, trying to think of the best way to ask the question about navigating the safer sex and the potential risk of increased exposure to potential STIs or issues that are around that? How do you guys typically navigate that? And
this is a very simple topic. You just play safe. What can you say? And realize also that the incidence of STDs in the swinging population is, most people are urban professionals or suburban professionals, and everyone's pretty careful, and so there just isn't a big incidence. At another lifestyle club in Denver, the Denver Health Department, there's an outbreak of syphilis going through Denver, I guess, and the health department decided that swingers must be the part of the problem. And so they called the club and said they wanted to come out and bring a mobile testing unit and try to convince some people there to get tested. And they were a little surprised when the club owner said, "Yeah, hell yeah, come on out."
Wow.
Because everyone's excited. Ooh, free testing, something we normally have to pay for.
Yeah.
So, they pretty much had 300 people get tested that night. It just blew them away. And then a couple weeks later, they got a notice from the health department for the club owner to come and appear before them. And so he's like, okay, I'll find out what the deal is. And so he went in there and they said, this is the first time, because they do the mobile testing at college campuses and other groups and things like that. And they said they were completely blown away because it was the first time they've ever gone out and tested a group of people, and the tests came in 100% negative.
Wow.
So it blew away their presupposed ideas.
Our experience has definitely been the swinger community has always been more attuned to safe sex than I think maybe others, but that is really surprising.
And I think the conversation is more accepted, right? If you're just meeting somebody on Tinder, it's not typical, I would assume, for a first date of just a guy meets girl to start talking about your STI status and your history and everything. So that's not something that usually makes it out in the one-on-one dating world, I would assume. So.
No, I don't think so.
I know you guys also mentioned in your profile that you tend to be a little bit shy. Has that been something that you've noticed evolving as you started casting and gotten more publicity? Have you guys become more extroverted?
I don't know if it's more extroverted or we're more conscious about it, because now we really have to think about, okay, when we go to a party, for example, to go around and introduce ourselves to different people. But it's also, I don't think our way of being has changed. It's just we're more conscious about it. Yeah. So at the end, yes, we're still the same shy people, painfully shy at times, where it's like, oh my God, I would want somebody so badly. I could, not even get up and go say hi, or it was so hard to go and ask, the question of, do you want to play, or, to say hi, how you doing, or, start a conversation. We worked through it a lot, especially in the beginning. It was quite an ordeal. At one point, I was trying to make exercises. Okay, I'm gonna go to a party. I'm gonna try and meet. First time would be like one person or one couple, and then it would be 3, and then it would be like 5, and it's just to go talk. And once the exercise started to take place, I realized everybody, wanted to talk and be social, but other people didn't know either. So other people were standing back, and they were shy as well. And it was just, the moment they had an introduction or people started talking to them, it was, everybody was very friendly, and we haven't had any bad experience, from that moment. But it was just getting over, over the nerves to go meet somebody. And lifestyle has definitely taught me that really all it takes is to just go and start talking to people, and even, without even having expectations, it's just trying to make a friendship before anything else happens anyhow.
Yeah, we have friends who are, incredibly social, very outgoing. They can walk into a room full of people they've never met before, and within an hour, they're best friends with everyone. And we admire that, because that's not our personality. We try hard, but we have to make an effort just because we're normally shy. So that is one thing we do sometimes, is try to make sure we're going somewhere with our friends who are like that. It's like, okay, good. We've got our entry, our meeting people.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So. No, we're very much the same way. When we go to a party or something, we actually have to give ourselves a little pep talk about how many people we're going to talk to that night, and then it's like a mission to hit the number. So we completely relate to that. I guess kind of wrapping up close here, do you guys feel, are there any major benefits that you guys have seen to your relationship, or that you would attribute to having a non-monogamous relationship style that maybe you don't feel would be there if you hadn't gone down that path so early on?
I think neither one of us believe that monogamy is natural. I know certainly my past wasn't, and every guy I've ever known isn't, and many women I've known aren't. And so, you wind up getting in a situation where you're likely to cheat, or you're going to be really, really unhappy. And this just releases you from those societal artificial restraints that are put on by religion or by other things. And you wind up not letting your relationship being defined by sex. Instead, it's just part of your relationship. And it's part of you, not only as a couple, but you as an individual, and fulfilling your needs. And everybody has different needs. I don't care if you're married to the most perfect person in the world for you, you're each going to have still some things that, are a little different. And so it allows you to scratch that itch, and everybody's happier for it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Is there any advice that you guys would maybe like to share with a listener who is maybe new to this or starting to explore it, that maybe you wish you had known back when you guys were just getting into it, whether it was when you were going out with the unicorns or when you guys both started in it together?
It's the advice that everyone gives. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Nothing should be taboo.
Okay.
And take it slow. One thing that we've seen really help a lot of new couples is when you sign up on Kasidie and create a profile, we encourage people to do it together, because when they sit there going through their preferences, what they like, everything's on a scale of 1 to 10, girl on girl, guy on guy, girl on guy, vaginal sex, anal sex, bondage, BDSM, toys, voyeurism. There's all these questions that you go through, and people are consistently blown away by the answers that their spouse or their significant other gives. It's like, really? You like that? Oh my God, or I thought you liked that, or whatever. And so just going through the process of creating a profile together winds up really opening up the communication between people. Mm-hmm. And then from there, get out. This is not a cyber lifestyle. This is a real world lifestyle. Go to some parties, meet some people, go to some dinners. It doesn't have to be play oriented, especially at first.
Yeah.
So just take some steps and have fun.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Going to a low pressure type event, like a meet and greet on a Wednesday night, where it's really unlikely that you're going to be pressured into going back and playing with somebody. I think that's really good advice.
Mm-hmm. And being patient is good advice too. I think that's really important. Don't try to rush it too quickly.
Yeah.
Well, different people go different speeds. However, it's important to always remember why you're in the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And we all, if there are any issues that arise, we always come back to the same question: why are we in the lifestyle? To improve our life as a couple and bring us happiness and just be in a very strong relationship. And if you're not able to grasp the root of why you're in the lifestyle, then maybe the lifestyle is not for you. But you have to be in it for the right reasons.
Right.
Yeah.
And then all the other details work themselves out.
Have you guys noticed over the past 10 years or so, or however many years you guys have been doing it, that the reasons you've been in the lifestyle or the way that you have approached it have changed in terms of maybe play styles and just different things that you're looking to get out of it, or has it been fairly consistent?
Well, no, as we talked about, we've evolved a lot.
Right. And now when I know I want somebody, I just go to them and, ask them flat out.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not going to lose a whole evening, night. And, it's like, and I've had situations where literally I walked into a room and I had such a strong connection with somebody and just walked out to the guy and, without even telling my name or anything, I would be like, you want to go play? And he would be like, yeah. And would just, after we had sex, we were like, oh, what's your name? And, things have changed in terms of how we approach. And, but also, we also enjoy different things now than we did in the beginning. So we enjoy very much a nice dinner with our lifestyle friends as much as a play party. So it has evolved. It's not all about play.
Yeah.
If play happens, that's fine. But, what's more important is the relationships and the conversations and the and meeting new people.
No, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we would agree completely. Do you guys have, and obviously Kasidie, but besides Kasidie, do you have any other resources that you would recommend to new people, such as a book or podcast or anything that you've found helpful or you've heard other people that it's been helpful to them?
Well, obviously your podcast.
Well, hopefully
every newbie has to listen to it.
We agree 100% with that.
Honestly, one thing that we get really nonstop comments about is the Playboy reality series Swing.
Yep.
And, we produced that. We were the hosts for the first couple of seasons, and the rest, then we had a baby, so we couldn't be on it anymore, but we still produced it with Playboy and helped them get it set up. Everybody on it is from Kasidie. But a lot of people, that's their very first thing. And I think the podcasts are great. People can listen to it. But when they watch Swing, it's visual. They see people. Oh, these are real people. These are real swingers. And this is how they really react and look. They're having fun, and it's okay. And they're not, there's no drama. So occasionally there is drama with some of the newbies. But, that again and again has been such a good touchstone for people that they've told us that's the reason they got into the lifestyles, because of watching Swing.
Yeah, we watched it ourselves, and it was definitely something where it just gives you a lot of good talking points, right? You watch an episode and then you sit and you talk about it, like what happened and why it happened and what you would do differently, or it
turns you on too.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
What you're into.
So no, that's awesome. And that's still available on the Playboy website, correct? Or Playboy TV?
Yeah, it's on their TV station. They keep doing the replays. It is still their number one show.
Wow, incredible! Is there any chance that you guys are gonna put out any new episodes, or is that?
No, they did 5 seasons and called it a wrap. Okay. So that was that. Sadly, that was it. It would have been fun to keep on going, but they just were changing their production priorities.
Yeah.
Even though it's their biggest hit by far and away, it's also their most expensive show to produce.
Sure. Okay.
That makes sense.
That was just personal curiosity from our side. So, I guess we don't want to keep you guys all night. Is there anything else that you would want to share with people before we let you go?
No, I just appreciate people taking the time to listen in. It takes us kind of honest self-searching to be curious about something and open-minded enough to learn about it. And regardless of the direction they go, we wish them the best with their sexuality and with their lives.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys again so much for taking the time. I know you're probably way busier than we are. So
yeah, we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, no, absolutely. It's our honor. So it was really nice talking to you both.
Yeah.
And meeting you guys.
Pleasure.
Hopefully someday we'll make it out and maybe meet in person.
Yeah. So
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Would love
to. Guys.
And anytime you guys are in Vegas, let us know.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, it's us again. Just wanted to say thank you one more time to Scott and Nicoleta for coming on and sharing some insight with us and some of the really cool stories they had to share. Also, don't forget you can find all of the resources that they mentioned in the show notes on our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com.
Yes, and next week we have an interview with some of our really good friends, Sadie and Todd, and we sat in their basement in our first in-person interview that we did with no pants. So it was a really fun time. We're excited for that upcoming episode.
But not our first no pants interview. Just our first in-person no pants interview.
That's true.
All right. We'll see you guys in a week.
Bye, guys.